Okay, Rachaad White. So when Fournette threw the interception, which was his last snap, I'm pretty sure, it was Fournette with 14 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Rachaad White with 11 carries for 33 yards. He got going late in that game. He was terrific on the last possession. So what do you think about Rachaad White going into their bye, 82% rostered?
Yeah, I think there's a chance if Leonard Fournette doesn't get hurt that Rachaad White's not a winner. And I don't ever like to do winners just because of injury, and this one's not. He did get the start. They clearly wanted to go to him. Leonard Fournette outplayed him for a half. And then Fournette got hurt. They had no choice but to go back to White. And White was awesome down the stretch. So I think Rachaad White is the Tampa Bay starting running back, whether Leonard Fournette is healthy or not. But it will be a committee and a hot hand approach. It's just that's a better situation than Rachaad White was in before this week when he was just kind of working in occasionally. He has a chance now to have 20 touches in a given week if things go right. He's not going to be a must-start guy because if Fournette's healthy, he will be a must-start guy if Fournette's not able to go. But if Fournette's healthy, then I think that they may kind of live in that David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert range.
But who's Montgomery and who's Herbert?
I think White would be Montgomery for now, and Fournette would be Herbert.
And we're not talking about he'll put up numbers like David Montgomery because, as Adam pointed out in a G-chat message with me today, he's playing like a steaming pile of something. Well, I just don't want to say what. You're going to have to use your imagination to fill in that blank.
That was basically Rachaad White's season, except for the fourth quarter of this game.
Right. Yeah. But he broke out, and this was a game the Bucs were able to run the ball in. I'm kind of encouraged by how their offensive line played today, and they gave Brady a little bit more time. So this was a really encouraging game for Tampa Bay all the way around.
Wow.
I know it stinks if
really?
You have Mike Evans. I thought it was.
That's interesting. I mean, I feel like they had to. They must have come into the game saying we have to get our run game going.
They've been saying that for months,
and they did finally get it going. And you had a pretty low pass volume game for Brady. He scored 20 points. You know, he threw a terrible interception late.
He did.
Godwin scored, which is great. Evans had his second dud in a row.
The Godwin play was good too because I believe that was his second read. I think he was looking to the right side of the formation, and then he came back left, and Godwin was open.
I would like it better if it was his first read.
I would like Brady to be able to, go to his second read. He's 53 years old. All right, the other winner for Heath was Cole Kmet, so we already talked about him. Dave, let's go to your winners.
Okay.
Wilson, 17 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown, and 2 catches. Kadarius Toney, 65% rostered, 5 targets, caught 4 of them, 57 yards. He had 1 or 2 touchdowns.
He had 1.
Touchdown. Darius Slayton, who had a 54-yard touchdown catch, and as I mentioned earlier, has had 11.6 or more PPR fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. But Jeff Wilson's a big one, Dave.
Wilson's a huge one. He's the best running back in Miami. He looked like it last week. We couldn't say for sure that he was going to be that guy. He was this week. And listen, Raheem Mostert had a great touchdown run. It was like a 30-yard run. I'd say that there were like 8 really good runs for Jeff Wilson today. And he's their best running back. We also mentioned, I think back to August in training camp when we talked about the Dolphins offense, we kind of lamented the fact that they didn't have a physical running back. They didn't have somebody. They had Chase Edmonds. They had Raheem Mostert. They didn't have anybody that could give them a rushing presence. Now they do. It's Jeff Wilson. And I think he's going to be the main back moving forward. I think he's a number 2 running back moving forward. And Raheem Mostert might still be in the flex conversation, though I think he's, one of those low floor running backs because if he doesn't have a 30-yard touchdown, you might be dropping him without that. So that touchdown kind of saved him a little bit. But I'm very encouraged by how Wilson has immediately adapted to this Dolphins offense. And he's not only is he just like breaking away and cutting away from defenders, he's physical too. And he's making plays in the passing game. He's everything that you want. He's everything you need. He's everything. I forgot the rest of the words of that song.
Inside of you that you wish you could be. Kadarius Toney and Darius Slayton are both rostered in 61 to 65% of leagues. Who is on your vertical horizon, Dave? Kadarius Toney or Darius Slayton? Who would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have Toney. And you just think about his situation and how he was on the Giants' run-first offense, and the coaches didn't like him, and Daniel Jones was his quarterback. And then, I don't have a song to sing about him, but he just falls into Patrick Mahomes' arms, and he's he's in a great offense that's going to be pass first. He's playing in a game without McCole Hardman. Then Juju gets hurt. And suddenly he's elevated into a pretty meaningful role. The targets don't necessarily say that. But he's a talented wide receiver. Adam, you know that better than anybody. And so if he's going to continue to see this surge in opportunities, what's the next step for him?
Well,
8-9 targets? I think he could end up being – I think you've got to consider him a flex wide receiver moving forward, and he might become a number 2 wide receiver if things continue to break right for him.
I just wonder how dependent he is on Hardman and Juju's injuries. And this was one of my believe it or nots as well. Kadarius Toney is the best Chiefs wide receiver rest of season. And
I'm not if Juju's healthy.
Sure. Right. And things could get messy if Hardman's back next week.
That's the thing is I think there's an opportunity here possibly. I mean, we don't know. Juju's concussion was not something that was minor. It was a pretty big deal, and I'd be pretty surprised if he played next week, based on absolutely no medical advice at all. But I do think if Juju and Hardman are both there, I'm not sure that he's going to be someone you want to use in fantasy.
Well, with the new concussion protocol, I more or less expect a player to miss at least one game unless there's a bye.
Right.
So Juju, I wouldn't count on him next week. We can talk about it a little bit more on the waiver wire show, but he's 65% rostered, so most of you won't be able to get Kadarius Toney. It's exciting. He made a great catch on the sideline. Losers: Adam Thielen for Dave, Chris Olave, and Russell Wilson. Really, the Broncos. All right, let's start with Adam Thielen here. 5 catches, 49 yards on 7 targets. He gets 7 to 9 targets every game. Is that
what changed?
8 games.
This is Adam Thielen.
What's changed? TJ Hawkinson's there. And though I didn't see every target that Hawkinson had, I did see the end zone target. It was a contested catch. He's clearly taking away any upside that Thielen has moving forward. And so I'm pretty comfortable saying that he can get 7 targets a week. But if Hawkinson continues to ascend, and he had double-digit targets today, how soon until he has a 4-target game? And KJ Osborne even had 11 targets today. Now, listen, Minnesota threw quite a bit. When regulation ended, I think Dalvin Cook had only 9 carries. So there's definitely something to Minnesota saying, well, maybe we won't throw as much moving forward, and that'll hurt Thielen going the other way. He's become a touchdown or bust wide receiver where he might not be the number 1 option in the red zone anymore. And some people might be surprised to hear me say that, but he kind of was, even with Justin Jefferson. But Justin Jefferson's just an absolute machine now.
Not the number 2 target in the red zone.
I don't think he's the number 2 target in the red zone anymore either. So now he's number 3. The touchdowns are going to be few and far between. The 100-yard games are never going to be there again. He's going to be in that range somewhere between 4 for 30 and 5 for 70 every single week. You can't feel good about him. I'm not feeling Thielen because he's got a low ceiling.
Nice.
What did he have last week?
He had 67 yards, 2 straight games.
He caught a big catch. He was used a lot differently last week.
I don't think he's any. I know
he was like more of a downfield target. He had a higher ADOT last week.
I know he's not going to score at a 10% rate like he had for the last 4 seasons. But I also don't think he's going to score at a 3% rate like he has this season. I think he's a number 3 wide receiver that's going to have some top 20 weeks when he scores and some weeks like this when he doesn't.
Yeah, well, the thing is he had a stretch where every year he's been like a top 18 wide receiver per game. It was just always injuries. But that's just not happening now.
But we didn't draft
him that way.
Right.
But I think we didn't draft him that way because everybody thought he's so old he's going to get hurt. But he's not producing. His production is worse.